Welcome to my Days of Our Lives official channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Nicole and Kristen have to be separated by J. In Horton Town Square, Xander and Sarah walked happily together as they pushed Victoria in a stroller. J ignored a call from Kristen, and he approached Sarah and Xander to partake that the police had verified Xander had not shot Harris. J said that he'd officially dropped all charges against Xander. Congratulations, J said without excitement, and he left. Sarah and Xander were excited by the news. At their apartment, Sarah and Xander ate cheeseburgers to celebrate his freedom. Xander said that he was still searching for answers about who had set him up. Xander noted that someone had gone through a lot of trouble to set him up, beginning with the anonymous phone call from someone using a voice modulator on the night of Harris's firing. Xander added that someone had planted a gun in his apartment and wired a large transfer of finances into his bank account. Whoever it was, they wanted to take me down big time. Damn it, it's got to be someone who knows me, someone with plutocrat, Xander reasoned. Sarah wondered if Clyde had been involved. Xander admitted that Clyde was a possibility, but he noted that he had not had contact with Clyde for several times. Sarah suggested Stefan as a possible suspect, given that Stefan was responsible for running Clyde's medicine combination. Xander conceded that it was possible, and he said that he planned to go to Statesville to visit Stefan. Sarah said that she and Xander were a platoon, and they would figure out who had set Xander up together. Sarah and Xander kissed before he swooped her into his arms. At the Brady pub, Sloane claimed that Jada pay Sloane's retainer figure up front. When Jada agreed, Sloane participated that she had disappointing news. Sloane told Jada that the law was generally on Everett's side in matters concerning his identity. At Sloane and Eric's apartment, Eric telephoned his and Sloane's landlord to interrogate about why the couple was several months behind on rent. After Eric hung up, Jude began fussing. Eric told Jude that their family would get effects squared down. When Sloane entered moments laterally, Eric saluted her after putting Jude down for a nap. Eric asked Sloane to explain why they were months before on rent. Sloane claimed that cost of living charges were to condemn, also she used her phone to shoot rent to the landlord. Eric asked Sloane to make a family budget with him. They were intruded when Jude began crying hard. When Sloane returned with Jude moments laterally, Eric presented her with a list of yearly bills. Eric said that commodity was amiss. Jude began fussing again. Eric contended for Sloane to go through their bills. Sloane made an reason to leave, and she said that she'd return shortly. After Sloane left, Eric wondered where his and Sloane's plutocrat could be going. At the Spectator office, Leo bothered that his coming lady whistleblower column might be his last. Stephanie encouraged Leo to cheer up. As she prepared to leave, Stephanie encountered Everett, and she supposed that commodity was wrong. Everett tried to change the subject. Jada entered, and she yelled at Everett to subscribe the divorce papers. Stephanie was taken suddenly to learn that Jada and Everett were still wedded. Jada and Everett #Jeveret married? Juicy, Leo fooled. Everett explained that his and Jada's divorce decree had no way been perfected. Jada continued pertaining to Everett as Bobby. Jada and Bobby? #Jobby? Leo pondered. Jada asked Everett to subscribe the divorce papers as Bobby Stein. Everett refused, and he said that he could not subscribe the papers under another alias. Leo noted that it would be phony for Everett to subscribe his name as Bobby Stein. When Jada turned to leave, Stephanie followed her. Everett stayed before in the office, and he complained that his fire was a agony. Everett grew amped, and he said that he was the bad Joe, no matter how people looked at him. Leo told Everett to stop being so hard on himself. Leo worked to cheer up Everett, who said that he appreciated Leo's support. We all need notoriety to hear to our side of the story, right? Leo said. Leo broke before he continued. Speaking of stories, this really succulent one just fell into my stage. And if Lady Whistleblower could write about it, I I promise I'll be veritably gentle with the story and regardful, and Leo began. Everett supposed that Leo was asking to write about Everett's case, and he asked if Leo was out of his mind. Leo agreed to drop the subject. On his way out, Leo appertained to Everett as Bobbert, and he said Everett wouldn't be suitable to get Stephanie back until Everett learned the verity about his identity. After Leo had left, Everett sat alone at his office. "There is no escaping you, is there, Robert Stein?" he said to himself. Everett used his phone to call Marlena. In a voice communication, Everett said that he demanded to see Marlena. At the Brady pub, Jada apologized for having constantly taken her wrathfulness out on Stephanie over Everett. Jada asked if Stephanie could forgive Jada. Stephanie admitted that she had been hurt by Jada's words, but she said that she forgave Jada. Stephanie extended her hand to console Jada, who admitted that she had been too consumed with her own feelings over Everett to suppose of how the news might affect Stephanie. Stephanie said that she was furious with Everett half the time. The other half, "I keep allowing about what he must be going through." Stephanie added that she did not know if she believed Everett's story, but she said that she felt for him because he'd no bone differently to turn to. Jada supposed that Stephanie still had passions for Everett. However, Stephanie replied, "If only it were so black and white." In Horton Town Square, Leo met Sloane, who said that she could no longer hide her charges from Eric. Sloane noted that Leo was gaining respectability at The Spectator, and she contended with him to back off with his blackmail demands. Leo proposed that he cut Sloane's allowance payments by 10%. After some dealing, Leo and Sloane agreed to a 25% cut in Leo's allowance. Sloane wrapped her arms around Leo, and she squealed in delight. At the same time, back at Sloane and Eric's apartment, Eric continued to comb through his and Sloane's charges. Eric derived that Sloane had commodity, she was not participating with him. "I am gonna get to the bottom of this," Eric pledged. At the DeMera manse, Kristen yelled for J. to call her back. Latterly, Kristen wondered if her day could be any worse. Just also, Nicole entered, and she brazened Kristen for having told Holly that Holly was a bad influence on Rachel. Kristen flippantly appertained to Holly as a medicine addict, and she blamed Holly for having prevaricated for months while allowing Tate to take the blame. Kristen disrespected Holly by pertaining to her as a little brat and a little fabricator. Nicole appertained to Kristen as a serpent, and she added that Rachel was a little brat that needs to come with a warning marker. Kristen and Nicole continued to change brickbats before comparing each other's history, crimes and transgressions. Nicole recalled that Kristen had ravished Eric times before and that Kristen had worn a mask of Nicole's face in an attempt to betray Brady. "The only reason Rachel exists is because Brady had coitus with you, allowing it was me," Nicole said. When Nicole and Kristen began to tangle, E.J. entered in time to separate them. E.J. yelled for Kristen and Nicole to stop. Defended Nicole, and he blamed Kristen for having brazened Holly. Kristen appertained to Nicole as a colluding gold digger. Nicole shot back that Kristen was a sanguine maniac, and E.J. had to separate the two women again. E.J. issued a warning for Kristen. "Kristen, let me make this veritable clear.